this talking point, I feel, is especially acute to Havasu, and it's in regards to recreational marijuana, since that's now a thriving and growing industry, especially here.
Mm-hmm.
I know with there's always the steadfast to like become. I'm trying to find the right word for it, but the more. Sorry, I'm having brain fire. I'm trying to find the right word for it.
Happens.
Yeah. There's more caution in the wind, I would say, in regards to orientating a lot of new laws or a lot more things and policies in regards to recreational use. Because I know, like, for example, obviously there's still the caution of it being like a gateway drug, things like that. And then it's just like overall trying to handle it as a community whole without it causing too many issues and everything.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I may have a different perspective on it coming from a law enforcement background and working in narcotics. So first off, we'll just start with it's legal in Arizona now.
Yeah.
So whether we agree with it or we disagree with it, it's legal by state law. Still not legal by federal law, but it's legal by state law. It being a gateway drug. The vast majority, and this is my personal David Lane's opinion, but it's a gateway drug, and that will become less and less as time goes on. The reason it's a gateway drug is because people are buying marijuana from the same people that they buy their cocaine and their heroin and their hash and everything else from.
Yeah.
If you're buying marijuana from a local dispensary, that's all they're selling.
Yeah.
They're not selling those other drugs, so it won't necessarily become a gateway.
Okay.
It's like alcohol. Well, you can say alcohol is a gateway drug as well.
Yeah.
They're both things that dull the senses. Myself personally, I don't drink or smoke.
Yeah.
So neither one of them would be a gateway for me. I believe that marijuana has a valid medical reason, or it helps people, cancer patients and that kind of stuff. So I think it's good for medical reasons. With that said, I always said that because it's when we had medical marijuana, it shouldn't be through dispensaries that are owned by different people. Well, that's all they put out there. It should go through a pharmacy. So if you needed marijuana for your cancer or whatever it is.
Yeah, or if it's like Parkinson's.
Yes, you should get that from the pharmacy, not from your local dispensary. But because of federal law, that's the reason that came about. Okay. So we recently had a zoning issue here in Lake Havasu on rezoning a piece of property because the property owner wanted to try and obtain a license and sell marijuana from that particular location.
Right.
I voted against it, but I wasn't voting against it because I'm against the marijuana. If somebody wants to sit at home and smoke marijuana, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's their house. They can do whatever they want. I would prefer that they didn't do it in public. I'm a very strong advocate for not driving after using any type of substance.
Right.
I've seen what happens, and I can tell you I've put a lot of people in jail for driving under the influence. Some of them have killed other people, and their lives are destroyed. And there's one thing that they all had in common. They all thought they were okay, and they never planned on killing anybody.
Yeah.
But they did. And in some circumstances, they killed their own children. Oof. So I truly, those are the stories I don't talk about.
Yeah.
I truly believe that if you want to, I don't care, but keep it at home and don't take it out in the public.
Yeah.
Same with alcohol.
Yeah, like you don't want to go walking down the street throwing back alcohol or anything like that because you'll get in trouble for it.
Right, and marijuana, if you are walking behind somebody that's smoking a joint, you can get a contact high.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody wants to see it. I don't walk behind people that are smoking cigarettes either. But like I said, if they want to do it at home, I don't care. The biggest issues I also have, we'll go back to the rezoning. The reason I voted against it is because of, one, it had a drive-through component to it. Two, it's right next to where our swap meet is at. And it was right next to the gate where people go in and out of our state park when we have the balloon festival, the boat shows, those kinds of things. Okay. And people are walking with their children. And I didn't think that was the right location for a business that is selling a substance to alter your mind state. So
Yeah.
I would have voted no if it was a liquor store.
Yeah, because I know there are certain zoning policies where like you can't open up a bar or anything that's within a certain zoning distance of like something that a business that's associated with childcare or things like that.
Correct. And it's the same thing with the marijuana.
Yeah.
So that's why I have voted no. But the people don't have a license anyway, so it may never even come to fruition. Who knows?
Yeah.
The other issue I have with legalized marijuana is the edibles. So you'll hear a lot of the advocates for marijuana say, nobody can die from smoking too much marijuana.
Right.
You're just going to go to sleep first. And, they'll wake up and they'll still be groggy, but whatever. And you're absolutely right. If that's the only way you're taking it is by smoking it.
Right.
If you look at the states where marijuana has been legalized and the overdoses in children of THC overdoses, because, gummy bears.
Right.
Gummy bears are candy that are marketed to children, but they're putting THC in gummy bears.
Yeah.
And a dose of marijuana for a gummy bear is one gummy bear. Have you ever seen a child eat one gummy bear?
Not at all.
They're going to eat a whole handful of gummy bears, as many as they can stuff in their mouth. And so they're the ones that are ODing on THC.
Wow.
The cookies. You buy a cookie. 1/6 of a cookie is a dose of THC. Have you ever seen a kid only eat 1/6 of a cookie?
Yeah, no, they just go for it all.
They'll eat as many cookies as they can cram in their mouth.
Yeah.
The candy bars, that sound like the same names as real candy bars. That's where I have the issue. They should take the edibles and they should make it so that they are not marketed the same way that we market candy to children.
Be identifiable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So those are the issues I have with marijuana. Not anything other than if it's better if you're not buying it from your local drug dealer.
Yeah.
It's better if you can go into the store and buy it, and there is legitimate reasons for it. If you want to smoke it at home, I don't care. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And it's not the same marijuana that we had when, I grew up in the 60s and 70s. It's not the same marijuana we had back then.
Yeah, especially being Cali as well.
That was, and I grew up in Northern California. Humboldt was the best. Not that I would know. But it had very small, anywhere from 4 to 8% THC, where nowadays the THC content, if you get the real heavy hybrid stuff, you get 80, 90% THC content.
Yeah.
It's a lot different. So it's not your grandma's marijuana.
Yeah. And that's a conversation I've had with a few people as well, because I know it's marijuana still having like some of the stigmas and everything as well. So that having the conversation around it especially helps, and including like that for example is like the semantics of the in between. It's not so much disagreeing with the marijuana itself, but just like the handlings and stuff done with it. Yeah,
it's the marketing, and and there are legitimate purposes for it.
Yeah.
I'm not against marijuana. I'm not against alcohol. It's a personal choice.
Right.
As I said, I don't think that it needs to be out on the street.
Yeah.
And, in this town, and the way the marijuana laws are, the only legal place to actually smoke marijuana is in your own home.
Yeah.
So if you're a tourist traveling to Arizona from a state where it's not legal, you still can't smoke the marijuana, because where are you going to smoke it? You can't smoke it in your hotel room. All the hotel rooms are non-smoking hotel rooms.
Yeah.
You can't smoke it outside. It's illegal. You can't smoke it in your car. It's illegal. So it's not something that would be marketed to tourists. So it's another reason I didn't want it in our tourist area.
Yeah. That's definitely understandable. And so I definitely have, I would say, a bit of a unique perspective on recreational marijuana, as well as based on like personal experience as well. Because like, for example, I've had multiple family members that have gone through traumatic like car accidents, things like that, and they've been have no choice but to be dependent on like opioids, oxycodone, stuff like that for several years, versus like medical marijuana being a healthy alternative now. And then like with for me as well, because I've had multiple family members, including just this recent year, who overdosed on prescription medication, methamphetamine, stuff like that.
It's just as bad as your local heroin dealer.
Yeah. And so I like the idea of recreational marijuana, especially responsible usage around it. Like, for example, how like all the commercials and everything that we see in regards to smoking cigarettes, alcohol, stuff like that, that is almost a counterbalance to in regards to just like the public interest, but in order to acknowledge the negative effects and to make sure that information is presented, I think that would be a good idea with marijuana as well. Like, especially since for recreational users, they're paying a higher tax rate, which is compensating for additional economic benefits here. And like my own personal thought is that could even be used as a way to like radio ads, TV ads, things like that, to kind of help promote the like things you were saying right there and everything in regards to more responsible usage and things like that.
Well, that's a whole nother health issue.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we've now shown over the years that vaping is bad for your lungs.
Yeah, because the moisture.
Sure. And, they're growing mold in their lungs. And when you're smoking marijuana, you're putting smoke into your lungs. Our lungs were made to breathe oxygen and give out carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Right. So anything that you put into your system like that is not good for your lungs.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother issue that people need to have that discussion with their doctors.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like the mask thing with the pandemic. People would ask me, well, what do you think about the mask? I'm an elected official. I'm not a doctor. Mm-hmm. What's right for one person is not right for another person.
Right.
That conversation is something that each and every person needs to have with their primary care provider. Do I get vaccinated? Do I not get vaccinated? It's not the government's position to tell you that. That's your doctor.
Yeah.
And you should be having that conversation with your primary care physician, not a TV doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
And not a government doctor, but your doctor who knows your particular medical situation.
Yeah, as well as your own personal intentions and you as an individual versus getting peer pressured into things like that. Because it's slightly unfortunate, but nowadays, especially in regard to like stuff like that, I see a lot more peer pressure coming from things like that and the condemnation that comes with it versus instead of just generalizing, have the actual conversation with your doctor, consultant. Because like there's, for example, like elderly groups as well as people with underlying health conditions are going to be a lot more susceptible and at greater risk, and that's where more things will apply. But then like versus the younger groups, like kids, young adults, stuff like that, there's not as much severity and things like that. Of course, as you said, it varies person to person.
It varies person to person. Everybody's health is different.
Mm-hmm.
So the person that you talk with is your primary care provider. So whether it's what's right for me is wrong for you, what's wrong for you is right for me.
Yeah.
And it's nobody else's business.
Exactly.
So we all have to be responsible for our own well-being. Mm-hmm. So take masks, for example. If a mask makes you feel comfortable, then you should by all means wear it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't make you feel comfortable and you don't think you need it, then don't. Mm-hmm. This is America.
Yeah,
you make your decision.
The beauty of individual liberty.
Absolutely.